When my first kid was born, I remember constantly asking myself, is this normal? Is it normal for them to eat every 20 minutes? Is it normal for them to wake up every 2 hours? Well, brand new carbon steel and cast iron cookware is just like that. You might be doing everything according to the book. You've seasoned, you've used plenty of fat, you avoided acidic ingredients, and yet you are losing your seasoning. And you might be asking yourself, is this normal? Most seasoning instructions tell you what should be happening, just like the nurses in the hospital tell you what should be happening when you bring your baby home. But this video will show you what actually happens, which is a little different. So that we can start in the very beginning with a newborn pan. Strata graciously donated a skillet for this video that we are going to unpack and season. Unlike traditional carbon steel cookware, this skillet only has carbon steel lining on the inside of the skillet. The core of the skillet is aluminum and the outside is stainless steel. For this kind of skillet, I only need to season the inside. If you're seasoning a traditional carbon steel or cast iron skillet, you'll need to season the inside, outside, and the handle. Let's preheat the oven to 425 and get started. Out of the package, the skillet will look shiny like stainless steel. The reason the inside of this pan is not rusty is that it is sealed with protective oil-based coating. It's important to remove this coating completely before seasoning. Otherwise, the seasoning won't adhere to the surface. To make sure I get the metal completely bare, I like to use Barkeeper's Friend. Scrubbing such a perfectly shiny skillet can be a little confusing. You really can't tell that the coating is gone, but be thorough and go through every inch of the surface, paying close attention to the rivets. Run your sponge through the outside as well, but there is no need to scrub thoroughly. Rinse the pan very well and dry immediately. Then set it over medium heat for about 3 minutes. This will evaporate any residual moisture. Now our pan is clean and dry and ready to season. Make sure you proceed with seasoning immediately to avoid rust. The first rookie mistake of seasoning is using too much oil, which will make the pan sticky. Only use a few drops and spread them out all over the carbon steel surface. It's probably a good idea to hold the paper towel with tongs since the skillet is hot, but I folded it several times so I won't burn myself. Extra virgin olive oil is not appropriate for seasoning. Its smoke point is too low. I'm using refined sunflower seed oil, but any refined oil will work. Keep wiping your skillet until all the oil is gone. Pay extra attention to the rivets and make sure you get into all the nooks and crannies with your oiled paper towel. Go up the sides and wipe the lip to make sure every bit of carbon steel is coated with oil. If you can't see the oil and are wondering if the skillet is getting any, you are doing it right. The layer of oil should be so thin it shouldn't be visible. Put the skillet in the oven upside down. Here's a great trick that I learned from Strata seasoning instructions. After the first 3 minutes in the oven, run the paper towel through the inside of the skillet one more time to prevent the oil from beading. This ensures that your skillet will have a perfectly even seasoning that's not spotty. Return the skillet to the oven upside down and cook it for an hour. Now the inside will look golden. Repeat the whole procedure one more time. A tiny bit of oil, wipe it all out, put the skillet in the oven upside down for 3 minutes, wipe it out again, and cook it upside down for an hour. Turn off the oven and let the skillet cool off with the oven. At this point, you'll have the most beautiful bronze seasoning. Enjoy this sight because this is the last time your seasoning will look this even. As soon as you start to cook, your pan will get splotchy, and that's okay. Seasoning is not like layers of paint. Seasoning is like skin. It's constantly shedding and regrowing. The best thing to cook in a brand new skillet are sunny side up eggs. The first few times use a little extra fat and wait for the skillet to get nice and hot. Normally I cook sunny side up eggs on low heat, but in a brand new skillet it's good to use higher heat to reduce sticking. Wait for the butter foam to subside. Butter is 80% fat and 20% water. We need to wait for the water to evaporate and the foam to stop bubbling. That's your sign that the skillet is hot enough. Crack your eggs in and cover. Now that they got the initial blast of heat, I can turn down the heat and wait a couple of minutes until they are done. Let's see how the release is. By the way, it's perfectly fine to use metal utensils on cast iron and carbon steel. The water in the food causes way more damage to the seasoning than my spatula. For the first time, that's really good. This stage is where the second rookie mistake usually happens. You just spent 2 hours developing your seasoning and you are terrified that you'll scrape it off while washing the pan. So you wash it very gently, which leaves traces of the food on the pan. Let's face it, this isn't Teflon. There is a tiny bit of egg left over on this pan. If we don't remove all of it, the new layers of seasoning will be applied to a weak surface and will easily chip off. It's like painting a room without first sanding and priming. If you want the seasoning to stick, you need to get your skillet back to smooth every time. The best chemical to use for that is salt. It's abrasive enough to remove the food, but doesn't chemically interact with the seasoning the way barkeeper's friend does. Just keep in mind that salt dissolves in water, so ideally you need to do the salt scrub before you put the pan in the sink. Unfortunately, I don't always notice the tiny bits of stuck food until I'm washing the pan. But that's okay if you use the right salt. Morton's Kosher dissolves so badly that it will work even in a damp skillet. Wring out your sponge, dump the water from the skillet, and you can scrub your skillet right in the sink. Now let's talk about soap. Is it okay to use it or not? It is okay. Soap can only remove loose fat, the stuff that makes your skillet greasy. It can't remove polymerized fat, the stuff the seasoning is made of. That being said, I would keep any interaction with water and soap as brief as possible. I would also make sure that your sponge is completely free of barkeeper's friend. Since I put the barkeeper's friend on my sponge a few hours ago, I'm using a paper towel to wash my skillet. As soon as your skillet is clean, dry it very well. You see how my seasoning layer got splotchy? That's perfectly normal and easily fixable. The important thing is that my skillet is perfectly smooth. Add a drop of oil, spread it out evenly, and then remove it as much as possible. Heat the skillet on medium heat until it stops smoking. This will take about 5 minutes, but I'll show it to you in fast motion so that you can see the color change. If your skillet turns slightly blue or purple, don't worry. That's perfectly normal and even desirable. Do you need to season after every single use? In the early days, yes. But once your skillet is more mature, you only need to do it if you notice some seasoning damage. The absolutely best way to produce seasoning at ludicrous speed is to make crepes. Good seasoning is all about survival of the fittest. The only seasoning we want left on the pan is the kind that's really tough. Crepe batter will stress your seasoning ever so slightly because it contains a lot of water. But after every crepe, you'll swipe a stick of butter on the surface, which will form new seasoning. It's like the economics principle of creative destruction. The only thing I would suggest is keeping the sugar in your crepe recipe very low, no more than 1 teaspoon per cup of flour. I find some crepe recipes have so much sugar that they don't work well in new carbon steel pans. When you're done with crepes, re-season your pan on the stovetop. Don't be discouraged. If the seasoning is not much darker than what you started with, it's not just the color, it's the sturdiness we are after. And finally, let's talk about the third rookie mistake of seasoning: using acidic and wet ingredients. Just don't. They are very destructive and should be avoided like the plague. But once your skillet becomes very well seasoned, you can get away with traces of acidity. For example, I often coat my proteins in a browning glaze that contains acidic ingredients, but it also contains a ton of oil, which reduces the contact of the acid with the skillet. On an older pan, the damage from this glaze is minor and something I can easily fix by re-seasoning on the stovetop. I hope this video will help you develop a wonderful relationship with your carbon steel skillet. If you want to learn more about Strata cookware, the link is below. Here are more thought-provoking culinary videos for you to check out, and if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.